Hi, and welcome to FreshMind.com. My name is Eric, and I'm going to show you how to animate a planet orbiting around the sun. In my scene here, I've got several planets already done. If I hit play, you'll see all the planets rotating around the sun except planet Earth. Alright, each planet is rotating at a different speed. I've got my scene set up to where 100 frames of animation is equal to 1 year. So we've got Mercury rotating at a rate of 24 frames per cycle. And if I zoom all the way out to where we can see Pluto, Pluto is orbiting at a rate of about 16,000 frames per cycle. So big difference. So what we want to do is create an animation of a planet one cycle, but we want that cycle to repeat over and over and over and over again indefinitely as long as our animation is. Right now I've got my animation, if you look at the bottom, it's going all the way to 20,000 frames. And these planets will continue to rotate until we reach frame number 20,000. Okay, just to start this out, this is really easy to do. It's really not that complicated. The way I did mine was I just created some NURB circles. Then I created some polygon spheres for the planets. I just added some annotation to them. And then I attached the planets to the NURB circle as a motion path. And then I just told Maya to repeat that animation over and over and over again indefinitely. Alright, let me just go ahead and bring up my layer editor over here and just hide all these in my channel box. Okay. I'm in the top view right now. I'm just going to go to the up here at my shelf underneath the curves tab, and you'll see NURB circle. I'm just going to click on that, create a NURB circle on my screen. You can give it a name and then duplicate it. Underneath the edit menu, you'll see duplicate. Once you duplicate it, you can use your scale tool, scale it up, duplicate it again, scale it, and just keep repeating that until you get all of the NURB circles you want to represent all of the orbits for all your planets. Once you get those done, just create planets. You can use your NURBs, a NURB sphere, or you can use polygon sphere, or however you want to do it. Once you get all your planets done, let me pull my stuff back up. Next step is to get some annotation. So I'm going to go ahead and select my planet Earth here. I'm going to go to the Create menu, down to Annotation. Once I click that, this little box opens up and we can type in Earth. When I click OK, now our planet Earth is labeled with Earth, but my scene is pretty small, and so this locator handle looks really huge. I can either use my scale tool to scale that down, or I can simply just select the locator, open up the attribute editor for it over here on the right. Down here you will see, okay, just you got some tabs here. You want to go to the shape tab, which is the tab that has shape at the end of it. So that's our shape node for our locator handle. You'll see a section that says object display. Just expand that. Once you expand it, you'll see visibility. Just make sure you uncheck that, and now our locator is no longer visible. That makes our scene look a lot cleaner. Next step is we want to attach our planet to our NURB circle. So I'm going to select the planet, shift select our NURB circle, make sure I go to my animation menu set, go underneath the animate menu now, all the way down to motion paths. I'm going to go all the way over to attach to motion path, and we're going to click on the little box at the far right. So that's going to open up the options. In the options, edit, reset settings. Right now everything's default. All I'm going to do is I'm going to select the start and end time. I'm going to change my start time to 0 since I've got everything starting on frame 0. You can set yours however you want to. My end time is going to be 100 frames because, again, I set my scene up to where 100 frames equals 1 year. It takes 1 year for the Earth to travel around the sun, so our animation for our Earth, making one complete cycle around the sun, needs to be 100 frames, at least for my scene, my setup, the way I set my project up. I'm going to click on Attach. Now that our Earth is attached, we can hit play. Our Earth is traveling around, and then once it reaches frame 100, it stops. Now we just need to tell Maya not to stop. We need to tell Maya to just repeat that animation again, and over and over and over indefinitely. The way we do that is I'm just going to stop my animation. I've got Earth selected, so just select Earth, go up to your Windows menu, go down to Animation Editors, and over to Graph Editor. Once you open up the Graph Editor, you should see Earth in the left-hand column. That's because we had Earth selected when we opened up our Graph Editor. I'm going to click on Earth. I'm going to go up to View, Frame All. Once you do that, you should see the curve over here. I'm just going to click and marquee drag around the whole curve to select all the keys on it. Now I'm going to go up to the Curves menu, go down to Post Infinity, and I'm going to click on Cycle. I'm going to close this out. And now if I do an animation, it should continue indefinitely. And there we go. And once you do that with all your planets, you should end up something like what I have here. All right, let's do all this one more time. And we're going to do it by creating a moon orbit around Earth. So let's stop our animation. Let's rewind. I'm going to pull up my channel over here where I've got my layers. I'm going to bring, I created a moon. There it is. It's just a polygon sphere. Nothing special done to it. I'm going to select the sphere. I'm going to start off by going to the Create menu, down to Annotation, and let's just call this Moon. Again, my locator handle is really huge, so I'm going to select it, go into the Attribute Editor, and under the Object Display, under the Shape node, I'm going to turn that visibility off. So now it's a little bit cleaner. Next step is we need a path to attach our moon to. Now if we wanted to, we could take our moon and we could attach it to the Earth, parent it to the Earth, and then we could animate the rotation. Like we could center the orientation of our rotate, the axis, to the center of our Earth, and that way when we rotate our moon, the moon will rotate around the Earth. That's one way. But since we're talking about animation paths, we're just going to create an animation path around Earth for our moon. Alright, so let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to go to a top view just to make it a little bit easier. Here's our Earth. There's our moon. Alright, I'm going to go to my shelf underneath the Curves tab, and there's our NURB circle. Click it. Let's create a NURB circle around our Earth. Say something about like that. Let's go ahead and give it a name. I'm going to call this orbit underscore Earth Moon. Once I give that a name, I'm going to select the Earth, or the moon rather, shift select the NURB circle. I'm going to go up to Animate menu, down to Motion Paths, over to Attach to Motion Path options box. Make sure the start and end time is selected up here at the top. My start time is 0. The moon takes about 20, at least what I've read on the internet, takes about 27 days to rotate around the Earth. So my end time needs to be, for me, 8 frames. That's roughly about how many frames I need to simulate that. And again, you can figure out the math. Once I do that, I'm going to click Attach. If we do an animation, you'll see that it's kind of fast, but you'll see that the moon goes around, and at frame 8 it stops. So what we need to do now is we need to select our moon, go up to the Windows menu, down to Animation Editors, over to Graph Editor, just like we did before. There's our moon, left-hand column. I'm going to select it. I'm going to go up to the View menu, Frame All. There's our curve. I'm just going to kind of zoom out a little bit, and I'm just going to marquee drag and select that whole curve. I'm going to go to the Curves menu, Post Infinity, and click on Cycle. Now if we hit play, you can see our moon is going round and around constantly, and it will do that indefinitely. Alright, next thing we need to do is make sure our NURB circle stays with our Earth. So I'm going to select the NURB circle, I'm going to shift select Earth, and then I'm going to parent by going up to Edit and clicking on Parent. You can also just hit the letter P, which is a shortcut for it. So now if we zoom out, hit play, you'll see Earth now follows the rotation, or the moon follows the Earth all the way around. And if we wanted to make a little more realism, let's add a little more realism to this. I think the moon, if I remember correctly, the moon orbits is kind of about 5%, 5 degrees, or maybe a little more than 5 degrees, maybe almost 6 degrees, different from the plane of the orbits. So I'm just going to rotate this, say -5 degrees. We'd probably put -6, or you could do it precise if you wanted to. Once we have that, we can rotate, we can do our animation, and now our moon travels around the Earth at a different axis than the Earth travels around the sun. Okay, without making it even more confusing for you, if we look at our Earth, right now it's tilted, or the moon rotation is tilted at a certain angle. And if we rotate this around some, now it's the opposite angle. Let's say we want the same angle all the way around. Well, I can do that pretty easily by just selecting the sun, because the sun's not rotating, it's not moving, it's not doing anything, it's just completely stationary. So I can use that as a reference. So I'm going to select the sun, I'm going to shift select my moon's orbiting NURB circle. I'm going to go to the constrain menu, and again, you got to make sure you're in your animation menu set. Let's go into the constrain menu, down to orient, open up the options box, edit, reset settings. All I'm going to do is click on this maintain offset, and then I'm going to, let's just say I want all the axes, X, Y, and Z. Let's just say I want those to be all constrained to be exactly what our sun's orientation is. So all I'm going to do is just select maintain offset, click add. So now, if we do an animation, our moon's orbiting axis is kind of like my cursor. If you see me move my cursor across the screen, it's, at that angle. Well, if we do our animation, we go to the opposite side, it's not the opposite direction. It's still the same as it was. So you could do that with the rings of Saturn, which is what I did. So our rings of Saturn is going to stay that orientation no matter where it is around our sun. And I don't know exactly how the rotation is. I'd have to do some research. But for this tutorial, this is more than fine, I believe. Okay, the last thing worth mentioning is we've got this animation going, but let's say that we want to speed up our entire animation or slow it down. We can easily do that using what's called the dope sheet. If you've never heard of the dope sheet, it's really easy to use, or at least the basics of it. There's really not a whole lot to it. So we're just going to go up to our Windows menu, go down to Animation Editors, over to Dope Sheet. Once you open that up, you should have something that looks similar to this. I'm just going to scale this down a little bit, just so we can see my dope sheet and our animation up here. Alright, if I hit play, you can see our animation is at a certain speed. It may be a little choppy in this video because I've got some recording software running in the background, so it kind of slows everything down a little bit. What I'm going to do in this dope sheet is I'm going to go underneath the edit menu, or actually the view menu, and I'm going to go down to where it says scene summary. Right now it doesn't have a check mark next to it, so I'm going to click it, and now you have scene summary over here in the left hand column. Click on scene summary, and then go back up to view, select frame all, and now I'm just going to go to my scale tool. You'll see a white box appear, and now I can grab the right side of this box with my middle mouse button, and now I can move the right side of that box, which will either speed up the animation or slow down the animation. So if I move to the left, so it's smaller, so it's faster. So if I hit play, you can see everything's really fast. So I can grab this in my dope sheet, move it around a little more. So if you look at this moon going around the Earth, I mean, that's like really booking it. I mean, that's some serious rotation there. I mean, if anybody was to visit the moon today, they'd get slung off. I mean, they'd never even reach it. They'd never make it. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this even further. And now it's even slower. So it's just an easy way to speed up or slow down your animation. Now, one thing I want to mention, and I'll have to research to find out how to do it myself, but if I grab this right side, I can pull it beyond where it shows. So I can pull it way over here, and now our animation is going even slower. But I don't know how to get that back. I can't. Oh, there we go. We can scroll out. It only scrolls so far. So if I scroll all the way out, and I don't know if this is just a limitation of the dope sheet, but I mean, 100,000 frames, that's a lot of frames. So maybe it's not ideal to have over 100 frames of information or in your scene. I don't know. But if I take this beyond 100,000 frames in my dope sheet, you can see everything's going slower, but I can't get that back now. I can't zoom out far enough. So I can zoom in, I can zoom out, but it only zooms out to 100,000 frames. Now I'm sure maybe there's a way in here to change that. So I'll have to research that for y'all. But for now, I just wanted to make sure that if you scale that out beyond that 100,000 range, then I currently don't know how to get that back. Just you can use undo. So just edit undo, and then just keep it less than 100,000 frames. But there we go. And that concludes this tutorial. Thanks for watching.